Hello and welcome to the Sacred Cards channel. Thank you for joining me as I showcase my Warrock deck profile for December 2024. I mean it when I said I've been working on projects. I haven't made time dedicated to filming sacred content as I could spend weeks trying to fine tune a deck before posting. But a time must come when I'm satisfied with a list enough that I'm excited to share it with all of you, especially a deck such as this. Take a break from the long extended combos, sit back, enjoy the lore of the archetype, and then start ripping apart your opponent's board. The monsters are all about battle phase and a rather simple deck to pilot once you understand how the cards work together. I've got a well-balanced 40 card go second list, not messing around with hand traps or kaijus, none of that nonsense. The goal is good old-fashioned board breakers. I'll showcase after the Warrock engine. Set up with your Warrock spells and monsters, enter battle phase, and storm through my opponent's board. So before I get into the Warrock monsters, I thought it'd be best to first discuss the field spell. 3 copies of Warrock Mountain. I can take a variety of routes to search and or set this card from my deck. Upon activation, I can search a Warrock monster. At the start of either battle phase, I can special summon a Warrock monster from my hand, plus the ability to send Mountain to the grave to protect my Warrocks from battle destruction. I'm just going to put these guys up here. So beginning with the Warrock line, triple copies of Warrock Fortia. So at the end of the damage step, if my Earth Warrior monster battles, I can search any Warrock card from my deck, then everyone gains 200 attack. If my opponent sends Fortia to the grave by card effect, I can special summon a level 5 or higher Warrock from hand or deck. And arguably the most powerful monster in the archetype in terms of effect, 2 copies of Warrock Meteoragon. So I'm looking for this card all the time as my opponent can't destroy it with card effects. 2 attacks and any monster it declares an attack on will have its effects negated, plus a quick effect to boost all my warriors by 200 attack. And another Warrock I love to see is 2 copies of Basilios. You could play 1 copy if you like. I know a lot of people do. I haven't had any issues with 2 copies. When in hand or grave, if my Earth Warrior is destroyed by battle, I can special summon this card, banish it if it leaves the field. Goes without saying, but if I summon Bash off the back of Warrock Mountain or Spirit, it will go to the grave naturally, of course. Plus the quick effect to boost my army by 200 attack and attack directly himself. So for the level 4 Warrocks, I have, sorry, wrong order here. Okay, for level 2 or 4 Warrocks, I have 2 copies of Gakdos and 2 copies of Wento. Gakdos' ability can special summon from the hand if another Earth Warrior is normal summoned. All the level 4 Warrocks share the closet if they are sent to my graveyard by my opponent's card effect. I can float to a level 5 or higher Warrock from my hand or deck. Wento is actually a card I prefer to see on its own better than Gakdos, in my opinion, as I'm a big fan of the quick effect to pay 800 life points to increase any of my monsters' attack. By 800, so including itself if need be. That said, I love the 2 and 2 ratios. I want to see Warrock names, though I don't want to clog on either of these 2 here. So just moving this over a little bit. Because now for the one-ofs, the gang's all here in 1 copy of Warrock Mammoth, 1 copy of Orpus, and the 1 Skylar. So this line here is pretty optimal. Personally, I was playing 2 Mammoth for I love the spell trap removal. If any Earth Warrior battles after damage calculation, I can boost by 200. I cut 1 for Orpus as another Warrock name. Both Mammoth and Orpus can be normal summoned in this deck, while Orpus sends a Warrock from the deck to grave after an Earth Warrior battles, providing another 200 attack boost as well. More often than not, my target for this effect will be Basilios, as it's the most versatile in hand or grave. And then finally, I'm giving some love to Skylar as I cut down on a few names to make room for others. I'm quite satisfied with the ratios at this time. Skylar's quick effect triggers after damage calculation with my Earth Warrior, being able to special summon a level 5 or higher Warrock from Grave, and exceptionally good if you can activate this after Orpus sends a Warrock with its effect. This comes with a 200 point attack boost as well. Skylar itself gains 100 attack for each monster on my opponent's field additionally. So back to the Warrock spells, 3 copies of Warrock Medium. The powerful Floodgate with this card being if I have a level 7 or higher Warrock, and no one can activate monster effects on the field during main phase 1. We do not play a single monster that can possibly activate an effect during either main phase. You love to see this card as its continuous effect allows me the ability to each turn to set a Warrock spell from my deck. Fordia will often search me this during the battle phase to get to Mountain if need be, or set the in-archetype negate. 3 copies of Warrock Dignity. So the only requirement for this quick play spell is to control a Warrock, and I certainly play enough names to consistently activate this. During the main phase, if my opponent activates a monster effect, I can negate its effects indefinitely, not just till the end phase. Alternatively, I can use Dignity to negate during battle phase if my opponent tries to activate any monster, spell, or trap effect. Consistently being able to access these spells as needed, it gives gas to the archetype's overall strategy in terms of what the Warrocks need to be most effective. So last Warrock spell is a single copy of Warrock Spirit. Another quick play spell, and it's not one I'd consider a necessity, as it may be one of the most on the fence cards in terms of whether players use it or not. Usually played at 1 or none. In regards to how I built the deck, by including cards like Orpus, I have more synergy with Spirit rather than it serving just as a follow-up play. All of the deck building process is up to your personal preference and what suits your play style. I wanted a little more engine, and I cut down a few interruptions as I was up to about 15 slots there. The ratios of card searchability percentage-wise, once I broke it all down, through a few, it just wasn't making sense. So through a few changes and post-testing sessions, I'm very happy with the deck's performance. Now, the last 3 engine spells included were easy slots to fill in 1 copy of Reinforcement of the Army and 2 copies of Pot of Extravagance. Oh, and I realized my camera is way off. I didn't even realize you couldn't even see that. Rehearse the layout and everything. Anyway, so I really wanted that extra push for consistency. Extravagance synergizes with Warrock on so many levels. First, being a Pot of Greed for the deck, it doesn't require cards in the extra pile. Needing to activate this at the beginning of my turn, especially going second, my opponent is without a doubt going to respond. While my deck is already consistent enough, should this get disrupted. With Talent being the only other card that has draw as an option in its text, I'm not hindered by any restrictions. Plus, if I activate Extravagance and my opponent ashes it, the effect doesn't resolve, and if I have Talent, I'm going to follow up with that regardless. I thought of a 3rd copy, but as much as I want to see these in my hand, as much as I want to see a copy, I do not want to see 2 of these in my opening hand. The deck does not rely on this card for hyper consistency, so 2 copies feels just right. So I'll clean up this section here. And then now getting into the board breakers, have fun with this section. I want to cover all ends of the board, so I'm playing 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talent, 2 copies of Forbidden Droplet, 3 copies of Raigeki, and 3 Cosmic Cyclone. So I really like the no once per turn on the monster spell trap removal. Warrock can deal with monsters, but don't have enough resistance against spells and traps. So I wanted to give a balance in that stat mechanic. Closing out with 2 copies of Lightning Storm and the 1 Harpy's Feather Duster to round off a 40 card main deck. Now, moving into the extra deck segment, have fun with this one as well. Some Earth Warrior monsters, extravagance fodder, or some toolbox utility like I have here. So an absolute must is 3 copies of extra deck monster, and then triple copies of this. Then I'm going to play 3 of these, and then 3 copies of that, and most importantly, 3 copies of whatever your heart desires. So, and that, my friends, concludes my Warrock deck profile for December 2024. Thank you for watching. If there's anything you like or dislike, please leave me a comment. Tell me your thoughts. I enjoy interacting with everyone in the community. Be sure to like the video if you did, share with people you know, hit subscribe and get notified for more content. As always, thank you for the love and support by tuning into Sacred Cards. Make the most of your Yu-Gi-Oh! Experience. Be creative. Have fun.